Okay, so the assignment is actually pretty simple. There's not a lot of parts to it. It's very straightforward. You don't have to work too hard for doing the work for this. The hardest part is going to be keeping it in the format that it needs to be, and so not going on too long with your writing, which may or may not be an issue. So the purpose is to persuade the publication to publish your article. So mine, as I'm going to be addressing the editorial board for Yoga Journal, I want them to be willing to publish my article. So that's my purpose, is persuasion. My audience, they're professionals. They are professional writers, journalists, and yoga practitioners. So I'm going to be as professional as I can in my language. I'm not going to use slang. I'm not going to use fragments or run-on sentences. I'm not going to use super long, complex sentences simply because I'm writing in a memo format, which is a short format. So I'm going to have very succinct, straightforward, professional language on this page.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay? And then my context is that we, as we talked about with the explainer article, it's explaining something that I think that the audience, the general readership of this particular publication would be interested in. So I'm trying to publish in this publication because I think the people who already read it will be interested in what I have to say. So it's very straightforward. Nothing that you have to think too hard about for this one. Planned it that way. So that would be an easier toward the end of the semester project. And it's a little chance to breathe before you do that final portfolio, which we'll be working on next week and the week after. Right? Okay. So this is a 1-week project. Just get it done. I mean, do it to the best of your ability, obviously, but it's a just get it done kind of project. So, any questions so far before I talk about the phases and everything?
No.
No? Okay. So there are 2 phases for this project. One is the preparation. Preparation, I have 3 things that you have to write. The first one, you're writing 5 to 7 sentence paragraph that summarizes the short article that you wrote. So mine would be a summary of why I think yoga is sufficient exercise for those who practice it regularly and I guess variedly. It's not really the best word there, but I would use a better word in my thing. So, 5 to 7 sentences, just summarizing the main points of your article that you wrote. List 3 strengths of your article and explain each strength in 1 or 2 sentences. Like my article is really strong in giving a way, a plan, a template, what have you, for making yoga your main form of exercise in a healthy, appropriate manner. So I would, list that and explain in a couple of sentences why that's a strength of the article, like what sets that apart from other articles, and just, 3 that I can find. Maybe one of them is that I have this really cool quote that's actually very motivating. It sticks in your head. And because it sticks in your head, it's going to help you to stay on track. Like maybe that, whatever. But kind of, 3 things that are very strong about your project. And then 2 or 3 sentences about why the readers of this publication need this information. So why is it important for them to encounter this information? Is it that it will expose them, Yvonne, to more foods that they would never have experienced before, and they could have party in their mouth that they would have never had? Is it because we are all stuck inside our houses through the end of April now, and we might kill our kids if we don't learn some positive ways to deal with them? and ourselves?
Yep.
Is it because the gyms are closed and there are only so many walks in your neighborhood you can go on without getting bored, and maybe you need something different? And yoga is like minimal equipment and minimal space, and you really, if you just learn a few moves, even, you don't even have to have a teacher, although you should, but YouTube works for that. So I mean, we all three of us right now, we have immediately practical applications for our projects. Why would people need this information? We can all name that. So we shouldn't have a problem with that, writing a couple of sentences about why people need this information. So that's your whole preparation. And that's the first part of what you have to do. The second part is to make sure you've chosen your publication. If you're still kind of working it out through phase one, that's fine. But choose your publication, whichever one makes the most sense. It doesn't have to, don't overthink it. I'm not going to say, oh, you should have chosen this one instead of that one. I don't care. I just want you to choose a publication. And then do your best to find out who you could send a submission to if you were going to. If you can't find a name, again, just address it to the editorial board. And then you're going to transfer the work that you've done in phase one into the template for phase two, and you're just going to put it where you think it makes the most sense. You'll proofread and edit, make sure your language and tone are professional. You might want to run it through the writing tutors. There's the post on Blackboard. It explains how to get in touch with the writing lab now that that's all completely online.
I need that one.
Yeah. And then you're going to submit it Sunday night or earlier. Okay? So it's very straightforward. And I have the memo template here. So all you have to do is copy this template, and then you can just type in your information. You don't have to change anything. Just type, who's it to? Editorial board of Yoga Journal. From, put your name, the date, put whatever date this week you want to. And then the RE is what's it about? Article proposal about positive parenting, whatever. And then you're just going to introduce your article. This is probably a good place to put that summary of your article. The features, that would be where you could say, you don't have to list it out like you did in the first part where you're listing like, strength, 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 but your features of your article, you're just going to write, my article offers, a list of ways to keep your focus during a yoga practice so that you can, complete the exercises. I don't know. I'm just making that up off the top of my head. But, you're just going to include, what are my main features? I'm not going into big details here because this is, a one-page memo. We're not working on going into details. We're working on straightforward communication.
For the features, you do want 3 of them though, right?
Yes. I mean, if you have more, you could have maybe up to 5, but it is a short article, so you don't want to rehash the entire article in your features. You just want to think of it as highlights. These are the things that stand out that maybe make it different than somebody else's article. And then how does this benefit your community of readers? Again, why do they need to know this information? It benefits this community by introducing them to foods they might have never heard of. And awakening cultural awareness.
Yeah.
It benefits this community of readers so that they can have the best time possible while stuck in their houses. And then it's something that they can take with them moving forward when we do get released from People Zoo.
People Zoo.
I saw a meme about that the other day because I don't know if you guys have heard, there was like a herd of goats that wandered through a town in Wales last week, just kind of going around eating people's lawns and flowers and wandering around the streets because nobody's out. And then here in Grand Rapids, over in Wyoming yesterday, I think, this guy filmed a herd of like 20 deer just hanging out in somebody's yard. Like, it's city, not even a big yard, but like a small city lot. They're just like hanging. Then they just went the whole herd just went for a walk and then went between a couple of houses and took off.
Mhm.
Like, you don't
That's
normally
scary.
see, you may see one random deer that's like lost or something, but you don't see a herd. I counted them. There were close to 20.
It's crazy. I wonder what they think, like from an animal's perspective through all this. They're just like, where'd all the people go?
We were like, nobody's gonna get hit by a car. Let's go.
Miss Brandy, I have a question.
Yes, Yvonne.
So last week, was last week? Yeah, last week I told you that somehow, somewhere, I feel like I'm missing some assignments. And then you told me that you're going to send them to me on my email. I was waiting
Oh,
for anything.
you know what? I have that note right here. I buried the note. I have it on my sticky notes, but I set something on top of it. So yeah, I'll do that as soon as we're done with our call because I don't have another one right after this today. So yes, I will do that.
Thanks.
Yes.
So for my short article,
Mm-hmm.
I tried emailing Malika. I haven't heard anything back. I posted it on the Blackboard thing and I still haven't heard anything. So you just want me to submit it as is, or?
That's okay. I don't have anything to show you for that anyway. So what the final portfolio is you are writing a reflective letter to the English department, the professors in the English department, and they will. This year, they're not going to read them the way they normally do, but you would be addressing this letter to the English department, and you will be reflecting on what you've been doing over the course of the semester and how that has influenced your writing. So next week, we'll be doing work with the prompts that you have to address. So you'll be writing in response to these prompts. And then the last week, we're going to put those together into a letter, a reflective letter form. And then we will also be collecting some of the work that you've done in addition to that. And that's what you'll be submitting. And so it's not going to be quite the same as we would normally do for a portfolio. It's actually going to be a lot looser than the regular portfolio is. But the biggest thing that you'll have is that reflective letter.
Okay. So do you want us to be professional or to be like the both side?
So the portfolio letter, the reflective letter, is a professional letter to an academic audience. So it's kind of a combination of professional and academic. And I'll have a couple of examples that we will look at. I'll either do a session with some of you and record it, or I'll just do a video talking about the details and the example letters and what's good about them and what doesn't work as well that you'd want to keep in mind when you're writing your own. So you'll have some examples to refer back to, and then you'll write your letter, and that will be the main piece of your portfolio. And I'll have a list of what you need for the other things in your portfolio.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Any other questions about the portfolio or about anything coming up?
So I heard you only have like 3 more weeks to go.
Yeah.
But like if somebody really want to catch up, like for me, my math class, one of my math class is over. But the other one, I'm trying to catch up doing the final exam and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But like if you want to catch up in these 3 weeks, how can you catch up from like right now? I feel like my grade is 9. The position I want them to be, I want them to rise, especially your class. So I was